It's here! Yet another holiday release. Well, is it holiday? It just kind of comes out in the fall normally. I guess this year it's a little bit later than normal. From Miss Madame Denise Myricks Beauté, giving us Lightworks VII, hard to believe, Freedom, the new Lightworks palette. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the Lightworks brand, the first two palettes came out, and I think they're still available on the website, and they are highlighter palettes. And then from palette 3 on, she has done these beautiful, shifty, multi-chrome, high shine, metallic palettes. And last year she introduced the Freedom palette, which is interchangeable and you can move them around within themselves. You can throw in your favorite mattes, you can throw in your favorite stuff from Groundworks, you can throw in stuff from last year's, you can throw in the special edition spring palette this year and customize your own palette, which is awesome. But I think that Miss Denise Myricks Beauté is on the forefront right now, and she is kind of owning the makeup game. So listen, if Swatches looks with each of the color stories, a review, maybe some comparisons here along the way, and just, a gay old time sounds good to you, then grab yourself your drink, as Tanya would say, or hello friends, cheeky little bitches, as Charlotte Holdcroft would say. But I think that that's because I think of her as like Mary Poppins. And, follow along and get on Instagram and shop my links and all that good shit. Unsolicited advice, YouTube, Instagram. Let's go. Okay, she retails for $128. Which sounds like a lot, but you're getting 18 shades. They're completely customizable with other Denise Myricks palettes, and it comes in this beautiful case, same as last year, although this one's a slightly different color. Last year's was black and silver, this year's is brown and rose gold, and it comes with the little travel case. Now, if you're not familiar with how these work, this pops off, in theory. I always have trouble getting this off. And it's the little mirror. But I don't take the little stickers off. And then you get 3 palettes that are curated together. And this goes in the same format as last year, where there were 3 palettes. And then there was also this spring, that really popular little pastel baby palette. So there are 7 of these now, if you've collected them all. And here's the thing. You can take the shadows out and swap them around. You can take a panel out if you wish and throw in your favorite mattes from Groundwork or Blooming Romance to make, your ideal palette. Or my favorite for travel, you take this handy dandy little mirror and clip it on the top, and you can grab 1, 2, 3, and you could, I guess in theory, grab those other 4 that have come out and put them in this handy dandy little holder that it comes with and travel. Look at that. It goes from this to this. So that's kind of the cool thing about this palette. Of course, the other cool thing is the amount of multi-chromes and duochromes and sparkly shades and metallics and all that goodness that Denise Myricks is known for. I'll insert the swatch videos here, but I figured today the best thing to do is just try to get as many colors as we can on my lids, kind of like we did for the Chanel 9 pans, and then maybe if I have time, I'll come back and do like a 5 looks, 1 palette. But I really do think today's best bet is to try to get as many shadows on as possible. So I'm going to do 1 look with each palette, and then at the end, on the 3rd look, then we'll completely, put on lashes and mascara and all that shit. And then if I remember, I'll show you some comparisons to other Denise Myricks palettes. Okay, so where do we want to begin? I think we should begin with the blue color story. She's so aquatic And I'm gonna grab some Refer brushes. These poor brushes. They've got their work out between Pat and those 3 Chanels and the Chanel Quad and ABH and Victoria Beckham. These poor brushes. Refer, if you're listening, you could always send some. Just saying. Do you want to help the little bald boy? See, I even shaved today because I knew it was a fancy day. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this gray shadow. And the nice part about this palette and the one that came out in the spring is she has finally started to include mattes, and her mattes are just as good as her metallics. Easy to blend out, highly pigmented. So let's throw this in the crease. You can see she's pigmented. That sounds like a Patrick Ta shadow. She's pigmented, or a highlighter. Of course, it in itself would be like $80 and would really just be for people who love Patrick Ta on TikTok. See, I've been burned by that brand, so I am not a huge fan. I was one of those few people who bought one of those original highlighters that was like gum. Okay, let's bring you in a little bit. No! Down, motherfucker. In. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and throw a little of this under as well. This isn't really a foundation video, but I'll tell you what I'm wearing on the rest of my face. I have a new skin tint that was sent to me in PR by Make Beauty. So far, it seems really good. It did really good on coverage and covering my redness. I've never tried Make Beauty before, and I'm excited about that. And I'm using their brow product, which also worked pretty well. They sent a couple of shadow singles, so I'll try to find a time to show those off as well. But so far, so good. On my concealer, I've got the new RMS. Well, it's not new, but you know, it came out recently, the RMS one. And then I've got on just Chanel Rose Bronze, a little YSL bronzer, and that's it. Okay, I'm gonna take a clean brush. This is Shoto 00, and diffuse that because grays can be a little tricky, although I will say if this intimidates you, you can always go into, there's kind of a pinky color in one of the other 6 pans here. That would be good to diffuse with as well. Nobody says you have to stick with the palettes as they are. You can mix and match. You can mix and match all the shades in here. You can mix and match with last year's offering. You can mix and match with the spring, and you can take 1 or 2 of these out and mix and match with your favorite other shadows. So, good for Danessa Myricks. Apparently, forgive the dry washer. You know it's always on. She really listened to people, and they said they wanted some mattes in here, and they wanted it to be a little more neutral, and so that's kind of what she's given us. Okay, I'm gonna go into number 6 here, and you know blacks can be tricky, so I'm gonna dust her off because I don't want this all over my face. Okay. She's real nice. It's kind of a real soft black, powdery. Her mattes are really pigmented and they're powdery, but in a really good way. They're easy to work with. I think it was in Lightwork 3. She gave us like a black matte, and that was really her only matte for the longest time. She really encouraged you to use those liquids, the Color Fix liquids with these, but I really like having the mattes in here. Look how easy that diffused. That's crazy. Good for her. She seems like a real sweet lady too. Okay, now what are we gonna do here? Ugh. Well, let's go in with this kind of gunmetal shade up here at the top. I'm sure it has a name. Oh God. Okay. The gray was called Mother's Love. No. It was called Magic Moon, and the black was called Grounded. Yeah, I don't know how this works. I don't know if it's, so we're just gonna call them what it is. So we're gonna go into this darker gray color here. And I find that on these ones that are a little bit thicker, your finger works best. Not bad. That's pretty. That's not as thick as some of her other ones. Some of them are a little bit flakier, but you can tell when you're in the palette which ones they are. Let's go into this bright silver down here. That is, whoa. Okay, that's a much brighter silver. Good Lord. This is one of the ones that's a little bit thicker, but it's going on really smooth, and as you can see, minimal fallout. Okay, what do we want to do? Okay, let's introduce the blue on the bottom. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a number 21, and I'm gonna grab this shade bright blue. I don't know what it's called, but what is it? Chanel, Pat. Lots of people are doing this bright blue this year. This is one of the flakier ones. You can tell that it has the little flakes. And I'm just gonna put that in the center here. Now, obviously, if I put this over the black by itself, this would be very opaque. But I'm just gonna put it over the silver and kind of lighten it up. Like a wintry kind of look. Where those two silvers merge. Again, we're not doing, the most beautiful looks today. We're just trying to show off the shadows. Okay. I was going to say, so you can decide if you want to buy it or not, but if you're watching this, you're probably going to buy it. Because I have learned that Danessa Myricks has a very loyal fan base, and you really don't hear people bitch and moan about her. Which is, okay, we did have some fallout there, but that's my fault. Now, look, I would tell you, under normal circumstances, I'll clean this up, but I would tell you do your base first, or you do your eyes first and then your base. But, whatever. Okay, we've got one shade left in here, and I bet it's the one everyone's really excited about, so I'll bring you even a little closer, Clarice. Ah, okay. That's real close. You up in my business now. And it's this one here. It is gorgeous. Woo! Now, it's one of the ones, there's at least one of these in each palette that's more of like a topper, inner color. They don't have as much base pigment. Holy crap. I'm just going to put that all over the lid. And you know what? This is starting to look like Frozen blew up on my eyes, but I don't care. Because we're just showing it off, right? Okay, I wanted to show you what that bright blue looked like by itself. Let's clean this up a little bit. Okay, these diffuse really nicely. I wanted to show you what that bright blue looks like by itself, so I'm going to grab some more, and I'm just going to put it down here on the tear duct area. This is definitely one of the flakier ones that you'll want to be careful with. But for right here, you know what? We're doing what? Editorial? I mean, this is maybe like 3 or 4 steps beyond editorial. But whatever. I'm going to grab some of the black, and I'm going to line just along the bottom there to meet that blue. And not very precise. Now, you can imagine if I threw on, I'm so tempted to, but then it's going to be a bigger ordeal. I don't want to do that. So we're going to pretend that I threw on a bright blue liner or one of Danessa Myricks liners, or, well, you could do black. That'd be pretty dramatic. But look at that right here. I mean, that's pretty amazing. And I'm sorry about the little bit of fallout, but I'll clean it up when I post the picture. So look, you could get something really beautiful, sparkly, glamorous, wintry, all that business with this one. This one is beautiful. Let's go on to the purple one. Now, I'm not a huge purple person. I know that the purple people online are very into their purples. So, it is what it is. Okay, let's grab a Shoto number 4 and this beautiful toasted color. It's kind of a mauve color. I'll take you out a little bit now. I have to look at all my pores and judge me. Okay. This is a beautiful color, and I think this diffused would work with any of the others. Yeah, I love that. Look how pigmented that is. Such a pretty color. A dusty rose, but it's got more brown in it. That's really pretty. Again, I shall say, good for her. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a light wash of this all over the lid because I want to show you how opaque these look when you put them over a matte shadow. If you want them to appear completely opaque, grab Danessa's Color Fix in black or white, and depending on what look you're doing, and it will completely black out the eyelid or white it out. That is a really pretty color. Are we finally slowing on the holiday releases? I guess we're not getting a product wad this year, which makes me kind of sad, but God knows we've got plenty of others. Okay, I'm going to dust off my brush and get excess pigment off there, and we're just going to diffuse this edge. These diffuse really nicely. She put so much effort and thought into these. And I truly believe she probably didn't put out mattes until they were perfect. And I appreciate that. Okay, what do we want to do with this little fella? This one has 2 of those super chunky shades in here, these 2. It's got this multi-chrome, and it's got this kind of light purple, kind of more of a shimmer. And of course, it's got one of those inner colors that also look good under the brow. Okay. Well, I think what we can do, because we're just trying them out, is I'm going to grab this shadow down here, which is one of those flaky little fuckers. But let me show you how I do these. With these flaky ones in your finger, take another finger and warm it up. And it will remove the flakes. I learned this trick a while ago with, remember that year she put out palette number 4, I think it was, that had those flakes in it? And then it will turn extra smooth. Now, you might think I'm going to lose some product, but you've got some over here, and you may have to go in again and grab some more, but you won't have fallout. So that's a beautiful purple, where if I take it straight from here and put it on my lid, you have to spend some time working those flakes out, which is not difficult. It's not terrible by any means, but you risk having some fallout, and you also risk it showcasing a little more texture. So I find if you do this and you put it on one finger and you kind of rub it in and work it out, warm it up, then put it on, you don't have problems with that. So that's a beautiful shade. I'm so excited about this next one, which is a multi-chrome little feller here. This is a very smooth, these are my favorite Janessa shades, are these the ones that don't have as much of the flake in them, but they have this I mean, good God, that is gorgeous. It reminds me of, what is that, extraterrestrial from Mothership 8. Whoa! You could just throw that on and be done. But again, trying to show you variety today. Wow. That shift is beautiful. Okay, so we've got a few others to use. Okay, well, we have this little flaky one here, and it's another one. There's a couple. There's at least one, maybe two in each of these. So you just, on these, I find it best to work it out on your finger a little bit, warm it up, and then put it on. But these really are molten. I know she has a name for them, but good Lord. Look at that. That's just liquid metal. But now, again, if I didn't like those flakes being quite as large, just warm it up on your hands first. I'm going to go back in with a little bit of that multi-chrome and just match those two up a little more. Wow. Okay, let me grab my trusty cleanish brush. That's beautiful. Okay, what do we have left? Oh, we have two. We have a sort of standard metallic-y satiny one, and we have the inner eye color. Well, let's go ahead and grab the kind of standard-y, beautiful, rosy metallic color. Let me get a clean brush. Yeah, and these are a lot smoother. They don't have the chunks like the other ones. And again, I'm not saying those chunks are wrong because they give you this effect. It's just, you know, personal preference. These are really smooth. Now this is more of just kind of a standard metallic. It doesn't have a lot of shift. It does have a little one. But I'm just running it under here just to show you the color. I would never put something that shiny under there normally. Maybe I'll put some up here too. Let's go full batshit crazy. Okay, that actually works diffused really beautifully up there. Let's grab our few little flakes from that, but nothing bad. It's only those ones with the flakes you kind of have to warm up. Okay, let's grab this duo, triple, multi, faulty, quadruple-y, whatever he called, chromey. That is wet. That is glass. That is crazy. Good for her. I'm gonna put some on the inner corner. These are the ones that are more inner corner and toppery. So I'm gonna put some over the top just to show you how it looks. Now, obviously, I probably wouldn't have put it over that multi-chrome under normal circumstances because it just toned down that multi-chrome a little bit. But you get to see all 6 shadows, and that's a value. I don't know if all YouTubers would do that, but for you, I will. Okay, you can see the pure amount of pigment that remains on your fingers after you're done. It's just crazy how beautiful these are. Again, do your base makeup after you do your eyes if you're really concerned. Otherwise, you just have to be a little bit more careful. Now, if you don't like using fingers, they have those like rubber nubbed kind of brushes. I don't know if you've seen those before. I've got some off Amazon before. They're silicone brushes. They work really well with Danessa Myricks. So what do we think of these two looks? I think they are pretty glamourific, if I do say so myself. Okay, so I'm gonna take the pictures, which I will edit and get all this shit off my face. And then we will come back and we will do a final look, and we will use the third palette, but this time we'll do a full look and mascara and all that crap. And then I'll show you some comparisons or just a little walk down Danessa Myricks memory lane, and then we'll be done. Hey, wait, by the way, she says you can use these on the face, the lips, everything. So I'm gonna grab that pinky shade that we put on the inner corner here. That's like glass. Let's just see for shits and giggles. It does work. You know what? Let me grab that multi-chrome. Let's just see if it works. It could make my lips look like, you know, a rectum, but let's see. Whoa! I mean, that's beautiful. Look at that. She has a clear color fix solution. Other brands do too, Gucci and you know, those kind of clear gels. Or you could use your favorite gloss, a clear one. But imagine putting that over that. Talk about editorial, really beautiful. Okay, it does work. I'll give it that. Don't make fun of that face I just made. Shut the fuck up. I'll be right back. Bye. Okay, palette 3, probably the one I was most what you call it, like excited about, because Danessa's really never done like a neutrally palette before, like this. So I was excited by this, and I just did that video of the best fall palettes, and then Victoria Beckham came out with Cocoa, and Anastasia came out with Embers, and now Danessa comes out with this little mother. Problems. Whatever. Okay, let's grab another Refa. I have so much brush laundry tonight. Number 16, and we're gonna go into this beautiful light neutral tan. A true neutral tan, by the way. Okay. That's pretty. It's like the color of my eyelids, maybe a little bit darker. Good to just blend things out. I thought looking at that it might actually be a little bit dark, but it's actually kind of perfect. You're gonna pretend you don't see some little blue particles there. They'll go away in a minute, it'll be fine. Okay, and then I'm gonna grab and do the same thing over here. She's so lucky, she's a star, but she cries her lonely heart. Do you know that it has been 10 years since we have had a Britney Spears album or a Rihanna album? Can you imagine saying that in the mid-2000s? We would never believe that when those two were putting out albums all the time. Yes, it's random thoughts for the day. I don't know where that came from. I don't know what about my washing machine made me think of Britney Spears. Hope she's doing well and not throwing knives and shit like that one video. Okay, lovely. Let's go into this dark brown. Well, it's actually not that dark, but it's very neutral, which I appreciate. Now, obviously, if I wanted this to be darker, I could take a little of this and mix it with a little of the black from the other side of the palette. That's what's so nice about these, and that's why I think I'll probably end up doing a 5 Looks 1 palette, because the real fun is blending the palettes. The palettes within the palette, if that makes sense. Okay. Who was texting me? I don't even know that many people. Okay, now I've gone crazy on the bottom here. I'm gonna clean that up in a minute anyway, so it don't matter. Okay, we have topper choice. You know what I'm gonna have to do 2 looks with this, because I don't know. No, I'm not. I'm gonna stick with what I've been doing. So I'm gonna grab this shade down here, which is this blue, gray, gold. Wow. It's one of my favorites from her, and she's got one in each of these palettes, these multi-chromes that are super smooth. And we're gonna place that on the outer third. Okay, that would be so pretty all by itself. See, this is why we need to do that video of the 5 Looks 1 palette. I'll put it on the list. I want to do them with the Pat McGrath and the Chanel too. Those 9 pans. In fact, I did one of one of the Chanels, but I haven't had time to get to the other 2 and the Pat. And now this. You could probably get 10 looks out of this thing. Okay. I'm going to grab my brush and remove any excess and blend away the edge. And that actually blends out beautifully. I told you I'm going to clean it up in a minute with some Pat McGrath. No, I'm going to use Sinessa. I'm going to use her concealer. We're going to clean it up and it's going to look great. Okay, let's go into this middle superstar. Now this is another one of those chunky ones, so you want to be a little more careful if you don't like the flakes. But you'll grab it and you can do this and warm it up. I'm gonna just risk it. This one actually seems a little bit smoother. The flakes are not as... Whoa, that is so shiny. Okay. That's crazy. This is fall right here. She had a color kind of like this in Lightworks 3. That was one of my favorites. Okay. Continue to work out the edge. I find if I work out the edges as I go, it's easier than doing it all at the end because you get less of the colors morphing together. Okay, well, from the inner third, we kind of have to go with this little golden metallic-y shade. It is so smooth, beautiful, kind of just gold, a beautiful gold color. I'm going to place this on just the inner third. Not the inner corner, just the inner third. Now this, I think, is one of those toppery shades. Let me see if I could just get kind of a scattered effect. Yep. So this is one of the ones where if you just kind of tap it and don't swirl it, you can get this kind of more scattered effect and get these kind of gold sparkles. Now again, anytime you put something like that over the multi-chrome though, you're gonna disrupt it. So you kind of just have to pick your poison. What is that? It sounds like it's gonna fall through the wall. I have a ghost. It's Halloween, but call 911. Okay, finally we have this inner color, which is this beautiful goldy white. Oh, so pretty. That's crazy. Look at that. I'm actually going to take this and I'm going to bring it all the way up. Because why not? If you're using Danessa Myricks, you should be having fun. That is beautiful. A little bit under the, but diffused. I don't want to do like full showtime at the Apollo. Oh, maybe I do. I loved solid gold as a child, which went over really interesting in my all-white town. I was probably the only person in that town watching solid gold. Soul Train. It was Soul Train with that man. What was his name? Soul Train. And don't tell me Shamar Moore. I'm older than that. I'm talking about the OG, the Dawn guy. Okay, I'm gonna come back. We're gonna throw on liner. I'm gonna clean this up, and then we'll do a little quick trip down Danessa Myricks Lane. It's a lovely place to be. Okay, bye. She's so lucky. She's a star. But see, okay, here's the thing. I fully understand if you call the police and you say that I've gone mentally insane, and that might be true. But it's been a really long week at work, and I'm really excited to have this new palette. And I have to go to Baltimore next week for a conference, and I'm excited about that. Although, a really, really good friend of mine told me when I asked her, because she travels a lot, and I was like, what do you do in Baltimore? And she said, don't leave your hotel. That can't be true, right? I'm staying at something on the Inner Harbor conference kind of place. Like, that can't be true, right? If you know anything about Baltimore, put it in the comments, because I want to know. Like, do I really not leave my hotel, or is there some nice places I can go? Okay. That's really pretty. Okay, let's go ahead and grab a liner and lashes, which I know I said I would do off camera, but I forgot. What do I want to do? Nope, too bright. Edit this out, Wayne. You're losing viewers. You're losing viewers, Wayne. Loser. Okay, so I wanted to grab a Danessa Myricks liner, and so I grabbed one in Rose Quartz. Now, I like these a good deal. I know some people say they don't last, but I find they do. So I'm going to throw this in here. It probably would have gone better with that pink look, but I don't hate it. I just feel like if I had done like a brown, like a Pat McGrath, black coffee, it would be beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but I bet other creators are going to do that. I can't be like that. Okay, let's clean her up with my manly finger, as that lady said the other day in comments, that my hands were too manly. It's one of the nicest things I've ever heard. Okay, you know what? Let's try one of these as a highlighter. Okay, I'm turning into Not Fit for Print Beauty, which is like, let's use this on the lips and let's paint my walls with this. I don't know how to make that stop. It used to play Yankee Doodle Dandy, and given our current climate, I got tired of that, and now it does that, and I don't know how it changed. Okay, well, let's grab that one shade that was up at the top there in that quad, or that 6-pan, the one that's kind of gold and white. Let's just try it very gently. Because that Rebecca woman, I adore her, but she would like paint a car with a palette. She wants to use it in 700 ways, which I do appreciate. Okay. This is going to a Chappell Roan concert, but it works. It's beautiful. I think it works, and I bet that this one would work with the pink look. She does those so nicely. They work on inner corner, they work under the brow, but then they do work as a beautiful highlighter. And as we learned before, you can get a nice lip out of these too. Should we do it? Okay. I'm gonna grab this color here. Okay, we're going full gothy here now. Okay. But you know what? I want lighter. So I'm going to go with the one next to it right here. Now this is a little flakier, feller, but it should work. It is molten. Uh-huh. Do I look like I'm going into like a production of The Wiz? Sure. When I think of home, where there's a love of a fair wing. That looks really, obviously I'm not wearing this like this out. Unless I was to go to like a concert or something, which I do go to sometimes, because I haven't given up on life completely yet, although I do like to go to bed by 9:30. But it works. I can't hate it. Pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna grab some other Danessa palettes and we're gonna do a quick little rundown, and then we'll come back, and I promise you eventually I will do a 5 looks 1 palette, because things will slow in a few weeks, thank God, and we can start doing 5 looks 1 palettes and palettes of the year, which I'm sure this will be on there very high. So I'll be back in a second. Okay, I threw on some brown Lisa Eldridge lash class, kitten lash in the brown, the burnt umber color. I love that mascara. Miss Eldridge, if any of your people are watching, feel free to send 700 tubes of that. Okay, a little history into Miss Danessa. So she has come out with 2 of these like face palettes that also work for eyeshadow. They work for brows. There's a pink and a brown one. Very interesting. Also magnetic. Clip in there if you want to make your own palette beautifully. Okay, so like I said, Lightworks 1 and 2 were highlighters only, and I think they're still available. The thing about the Lightworks palettes, though, is at least with 3 through now, they don't restock a ton. So when they're gone, they're gone. She doesn't make a ton of them, and I think that's probably because they're very expensive to make. Okay, so the third one was called what was it called? Lightwork Volume 3 Experience. And it was beautiful. This is one of my all-time favorite Danessa Myricks colors, and as you can see, this is the one I was talking about that's similar to the one on my lid. But the textures were a little thicker. They certainly have got better over time. And then there was Lightwork 4 Transcendence, and this one people have a lot of feelings about because the outer shades are stunning, but these are a little difficult. These 2 you add water to make kind of a paste, and you can use as a liner. These are those flakes that you have to really warm up. If you think you have to warm those up, the new ones, these you really had to warm up. But I really liked it. This was a beautiful palette. Then we had Lightwork 5, beautiful, and this was I Am. And this was the one where it's like, I am a tree, I am a ghost, I am the wizard. And it's all, words. And this one had the most colors. And I thought this one was really cool and had a lot of beautiful shades of various depths. really nice. And at this point, she started to lean away from the more complicated formulas, because I think a lot of people struggled with some of those shades in the fourth one. Then last year we got Lightworks VI. Yep. Which started where we're at now. And this is the one that is, I would call this the much bolder version of what we got this year. There are some satins that beautifully blend out, but for the most part, this one is very bright, bold colors. She came out with an extension palette of this in the spring, which is the Freedom Pastel Dreams, and this one sold like gangbusters. And it clips in with all the others, so you can mix and match. And this is where she introduced her matte formula, which is gorgeous. Great palette for spring and summer. And then we got this treasure that we've looked at today. I also should mention that she did come out with one limited edition Pride palette, which I absolutely adore. I don't know. Oh, that was the little sheet. This is real complicated, but the formulas in here are beautiful. And in this world we're living in now, not that many people put out Pride palettes. So take that as you will. Okay, so I think it's a beautiful palette. I think you're gonna love it. I hope you've enjoyed the swatches, the 3 looks, getting every single 18 shade on my eyelids. They're gonna be raw, but it's okay because I do this for you. We've seen it as a lipstick, we've seen it as a highlighter, and eventually we'll get to that 5 looks 1 palette. If you like this kind of content, then I really would like it if you would subscribe. A lot of people watch, but they don't subscribe, and I don't like that. I want a pop-up on your YouTube the minute you turn it on so I can say good morning. And, like, subscribe, follow along. Follow me on Instagram and YouTube, Unsolicited Advice, and consider shopping my links. It doesn't really cost you anything, but it gives a small percentage back to the channel. And I have very few PR type items. I pay for everything mostly myself, so every little bit helps. I hope you've enjoyed this. Tanessa Myricks, you are a goddess. And the holiday palettes continue. Okay, everyone. Bye.